Hey folks, it's Johnny Flynn. It's the 18th of March, and we're going to do a deep dive. What do I have in my hand? One of my many Bank of America extortion files. Oh yes. Emails, bills, extortion. They stole our CRD terminal. Do you know what that means? It means your licensing and registration terminal. They took the passwords. They added traders to my broker-dealer. They removed people from my broker-dealer. They added people I've never talked to my brokerage firm's history. They let them trade with capital of mine. What did I do about it? I went to the regulator. I went to Bernie Madoff. What happened? Extortion, money laundering, racketeering, RICO. What happened? I went to Richard Blumenthal. Oh yes. These are regulatory filings that were falsified. I went to the State Banking Commission. What happened? They threatened me. That's cool. That's cool. Where's the money? We don't know. We have about 100 of these files, so who did it? Mark S. Gregory. Who's that? Gee. Who did this? Falsified our audits. Weiss and Allen. Falsified my brokerage firm's audits. Why would they send our reports to an auditor to be falsified, to be given to the regulator after they stole our CRD terminals? This is Bank America's attorney. This is Bank America's actions. They paid that attorney, okay? The attorney claimed to be my attorney. He's not my attorney. He never was, and he never will be. Neither will Tom Kelly, Kelly Hodges, Delphine Knight Brown. A lot of these people live in Darien. I went to the Darien police. What happened? Oh, extortion. Yeah, well, you know what? When you allow someone to extort you while you're telling the state police the entire time what's happening, if they don't step in, there's a problem. So I do want to share with you what is going on, and it's massive fraud. It's not small, it's massive fraud. Take a look at what I have on the screen here. Okay, what is that? This is me calling the state police. I've called them many, many times. What did I say? I had a hit put on me by a confidential informant. And we've never gotten anywhere. We've had 1,200 stolen checks cashed. 1,200. Well, I'll fast forward.
In Norwalk,
this is 11 million.
everything
This
I
is
can
11-minute complaint
And
filed.
I am not going.
With the state police. I've
It's
filed.
a money. I filed numerous lawsuits. I can give you all the court case numbers.
What happened?
Malloy was a defendant in my trial, and 5 judges appointed by Malloy heard them. Okay. So guess what? I got no subpoenas. I got no depositions. I got no interrogatories. I got no request.
Brian McCann falsified and destroyed 500 exhibits during that trial. 500 exhibits of money laundering in that trial. The judge, multiple judges, Povodator, Heller, Jacobs, and more, Adams works at Kelly Dry, where that Mark Gregory works. He was a partner. They were both partners. What happened? Partners in a law firm work with that judge, manipulating the facts. They allowed Malloy to be a defendant, and 5 judges appointed by Malloy heard the trial. What do you think's wrong with that? Well, I'll tell you. continue with these facts.
Request for production. I got no fee waivers.
Go to the end.
I got, in certain cases, no
What does the
jury.
state police say?
The judges appointed by the defendant, Malloy, ruled from the bench. Do you understand? Okay. 500 exhibits were in the case. In Connecticut history to the state police, and you don't have a recording?
Okay, you're going to have to talk to our
They didn't
investigators. So I'm
record
going to,
anything
pass along
they're
your info.
claiming.
Okay, that makes absolutely no sense that you would not record.
The state police
I'm going to
destroyed
pass along your info.
their
Okay,
record.
that makes absolutely no sense that you would not record this. Okay?
I did. The sign is not recorded, no. If you have concerns and want to be
Hold on a
recorded,
second.
when
Hold
you-
on a second. Hold on a second. I call internal affairs and it's not recorded?
It is not recorded, no.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Okay?
The state police are saying that they don't want to hear about money laundering assisted by the Norwalk, Stamford, and Wilton police departments. They don't want to know because they would have to prosecute them. Hello. The part of the tapes, I have many, many conversations with the police. Okay? Many. What you need to know is that, look at this. This is the Janet Reno Confidential Informant Guidelines of 2001. Okay. What you need to know is that for a informant to break the law legally, they need to be constantly supervised. They need to be constantly interviewed. The purpose and scope. Set policy for the use of confidential informants. Okay, Ron and Nicole, confidential informants, planted drugs in Norwalk on Azure Priest. Fact. Okay? Confidential informant. I went to the FBI. The FBI does not know who Ron and Nicole are. They say Norwalk has no registered confidential informants. What's the problem? Listen. Okay? The problem is Norwalk doesn't follow federal law. Planting drugs in Edger Priest's apartment violated his civil right. A, denied him exculpatory evidence of his innocence. They falsified warrants, just like the FBI did to President Trump. So here we are. Sanctuary cities are falsifying warrants for false arrest all over the place. How do I know? Hold on. Hold that thought. Sorry, I'm not as prepared as I was hoping. You see what these documents are? Let's see these documents? Okay, this is the transcript of a trial where a police chief says, we use all kinds of informants all the time. Okay, I go straight to the FBI. What happens? Oh, they don't have any informants. They don't register. They're not registered. Excuse me? The law is clear. Whitey Bulger was a murderer. Okay? They put him in jail for what he did. They didn't go after the cops who approved the crimes of the murders of Whitey Bulger. Okay? These are transcripts of trials where police got on the stand and lied. Brian McCann. This is Brian McCann committing perjury all day long. Why? I don't know. Maybe he stole the $47 million that's missing. He can't account for it. These cops told me I was not allowed to go to my own bank and get my own banking records. Why? Because they were investigating. That was in 2001. They did it again in 2005. They did it in 2008. They did it in 2009. I am not allowed at my own bank to get my own brokerage records. How many trades? Oh, I don't know. God knows at this point. I lost count at 300 or 400,000. 400,000? Are you serious? Okay, so Bank of America's attorney claimed to be my attorney, falsified CRD, which are the state's official records. Okay, Bank of America falsified the state of Connecticut's official records. Why? Bernie Madoff was chairman of NASDAQ. Bernie Madoff talked. Okay? How did I know? I contacted him daily during this event. Okay? It's probably still ongoing. And this is the problem. And I'm going to tell you and show you. These are the rules for confidential informants. They used them against the president to undermine his authority as commander-in-chief of the United States. CFO, Chief Financial Officer, CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the United States. Look, Confidential Informant Review Committee. I contacted them. Goodbye, Mr. Flynn. Don't call us back. We'll have you arrested. Really? Who's going to have who arrested? I'm going to have you arrested, buddy. I have hundreds of emails. I've been contacting the state police for years. I went right after the Stephen Barrier murder to the state police. I told them the whole story. I recorded it. I'm covered. They told me to leave. Okay? I went to the FBI. I did the same exact thing. I reported a murder. Okay? What happened? Don't come back, Mr. Flynn. Really? Why? Because if they know the facts, they need to prosecute. Look, Tier 2, otherwise illegal activity. Fugitive. Read this document. It's called the Attorney General Reno Confidential Informant Guideline from January 2001. Okay. It gives definitions, rights of third parties, compliance, suitability determination. This is extremely important. Prior to utilizing a person as a confidential informant, the JLEA shall complete and sign a written initial suitability report and recommendation. Okay, show me the suitability report of the murderer who was hired to kill Dealey. Show me. They sprung him from jail to do it. How many times? 55 times, that's my guess. Why? They sprung him. They failed to prosecute him. He is now in jail for robbing a Motel 6 at gunpoint. This guy should never get out. Why? He has 77 arrests that I know of in 2 towns. That's not including New Haven. That's not including West Haven. That's not including Guilford. That's 2 towns. East Haven, a small town. People, continuing suitability review, constant supervision. Each CI shall be reviewed by the case agent at least annually. The case agent shall complete and sign a written continuing suitability report and recommendation. Each JLEA shall establish systems to ensure all available information that might materially alter a prior suitability determination, including but not limited to, the guy did 3 hits, and he's out, and he was out. Why? Because the state's attorney negotiated his release, and they never did the paperwork. He's not registered. Registration. After a field manager has approved an individual as a suitable confidential informant, the individual shall be registered with the JLEA as a CI. Hello, they're not registered. I talked to the FBI. Richard Filipelli was not registered, okay? He is a contract killer. Okay, he was. He claimed to be working for the police union president. He was working for Larrabee, Gallo, and Nappy. This is Nappy's testimony that they used all kinds of informants for all kinds of criminal acts. Hello, the guy's not registered. So therefore, it's a crime. When a police chief tells a criminal to commit a crime and he's not registered with the FBI, he's culpable. He's not immune from prosecution. The prosecutor released him with full knowledge that Connecticut is not following federal law. Connecticut has not followed federal law since 2001, okay? It's not recent. It's an ongoing criminal enterprise, and you heard it from me. I've been telling the state police every 6 months for 20 years about crime, about other informant activity that I'm aware of. Who's Steve? Steve's the informant who strangled my son in the driveway when he was 15. My son's fine. He's working for an auto manufacturer. He graduated top of his class in Villanova. I went to Villanova. Grandpa went to Villanova. We're top notch. We're not messing around here. I have been setting a trap for these people for 20 years. I've got all the evidence that we need to change the confidential informant activity in the state of Connecticut. Stamford has a problem. Yeah, read the book Rogue Town. Cops were shaking down drug dealers for kickbacks for years and years. I know Mr. Ledestro. Hello, he's in the book. His daughter was in my class in high school. My high school was recently closed, Trinity Catholic. We are on top of this evidence. High-level confidential informants. Read. Look, they reward payments, instruction. This confidential informant is not an employee of the United States government and may not represent himself as such. Really? Guess what? Every single clause of this document, there is an argument. Federal prisoners, probationers, parolees, detainees, and supervised release. They were committing crimes, being sprung from jail to commit crimes, approved by police. Correct me if I'm wrong. I dare you. Individuals under the obligation of legal privilege of confidentiality or affiliated with the media. The media is in on it. Hello. Yeah. Richard Colangelo covered up the taser information with Sean Bogger. They went to News Channel 12. They went to The Hour. They went to the Stamford Advocate and knowingly reported false information to the media. And it's in this law. Okay, it talks about witness protection. It talks about fugitives. Ready? A JLEA shall have no communications with a current or former CI who's a fugitive. Guess what? Oh, they're fugitives. Yes, they can't find Ron and Nicole. Why? They were probably told to leave the state or the city because they talked and we found out. Ron and Nicole were approved to plant drugs on Edger Priest. When Ron and Nicole spoke about what they had done, and it's all on video, who knows? Cesar Ramirez. What happened to Cesar Ramirez? He recently died of brain cancer. Why? With all due respect, Cesar Ramirez was the dumbest person I have ever met in my entire life, okay? With all due respect. Very nice gentleman. He was in my RTC. They hired him as the fall guy, and he fell, let me tell you. I can talk about that for hours, what he knows and what he did. And I will, if pushed. But I'd rather respect a cop who died of brain cancer rather than throw him under the bus. But the reason why Rilling hired him to work on the commissioner, as a commissioner of the Housing Authority, is because of the Vesta corruption with the Norwalk Housing Authority, which I am told is right now being investigated by none other than Richard Blumenthal, the person I'm running against. Why? I've been copying him in on what's going on at Cedar Court for about 2 years, or at least a year. He's between a rock and a hard place because he hasn't lifted his finger in the Ezra Priest case. He did get him Section 8 housing, which was key to salvaging Ezra Priest's life. But I don't want to dwell too much on this. But if you guys don't read this document, revocation of authorization. Let's read about that. If a JLEA has reason to believe that a CI, confidential informant, has failed to comply with the specific terms of the authorization of Tier 1 or Tier 2 illegal activity, shall revoke the authorization. This confidential informant I'm talking about told me when he had an axe in his hand that he was going to kill me, A, he was sent by the police, and that the police would not respond to 911 calls. This is scary. There's a lot of murder in Connecticut. It's much worse in Chicago, Illinois. They have, 3,000 a year? Much worse than the coronavirus. There's more murder in Chicago than we know about, most likely, because read these things. Designee. The federal prosecutor, with concurrence of each other, agree to designate particular individuals in the respective offices to carry out approvable functions assigned to them in these paragraphs. Okay, I went to Richard Colangelo multiple times. I talked to every single guy in his office, okay? They said, never come back. I told him about crimes. He's fully aware of the Stephen Barrier murder. I told Sean Bogger everything I know. And what happened? They assaulted me right then and there. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad it's going to go to trial. But read this document. Here we go. Privileged exculpatory information. Oh, my Lord. In situations where the FPO is either participating in the conduct of an investigation by the JLEA that is utilizing a confidential informant or working with a confidential informant in connection with a prosecution, the JLEA shall notify the attorney assigned to the matter in advance wherever possible. Okay. Richard Colangelo was told, since Devaney and DeSpagna and the rest of those detectives were in on it, that I was confronted with an axe by a confidential informant. Okay? He admitted working for the police union. I sued the police union. I sued I'll talk about that case later. Believe me. Because the guy kept calling me and calling me and calling me during it. And that's called intimidation of a plaintiff by a defendant. And he's a cop. He's in the union. Read every single thing you can with respect to these documents. Read every single thing on this document. Why? Because Connecticut does not follow federal law. It's not following confidential informant law. They are approving crime all over the place, according to Chief Nappy, 30-year career veteran, 40-year career veteran, according to Gallo. By the way, Gallo is the co-conspirator in a 3-year sting operation done by the New York FBI in East Haven. They arrested Cari, Zullo, Spaulding, and Miller, okay? Spaulding's a bad dude. I hope he never gets out, okay? Cari testified he got paid, he was trained by East Haven police to falsify police reports to justify false arrest. That's exactly what Norwalk does. That's exactly what Stamford does. That's exactly what Wilton does. That's exactly what New Canaan did. That's exactly what other towns have been doing in sanctuary cities within a sanctuary state under the instruction of Governor Malloy, and every single one of these police departments. Darien is guilty. Darien is guilty. Believe me, I did my banking in Darien. I'm not allowed to any bank in Darien. Why? I don't know. All I did was make deposits all day. All I did was write checks all day. Why am I not allowed to get my own banking records in Darien, Connecticut? Talk to Dignan. He's the next guy. The last detective who handled the case for 10 years retired. The guy with the redhead with the mustache, I got a file on him that's 4 inches thick. I mean, give us a break, folks. I am naming names. I'm going to name names. And this is the tip of the iceberg. I hope you can follow me through this discussion. I need to become your next state senator. Why? I will not tolerate law enforcement breaking every federal law about confidential informants, approving murder for hire, repeated home invasion, money laundering, breach of contract, threatening. You can go on about how many crimes this guy committed. Richard Filipelli held up a Motel 6 at gunpoint because he was released by the prosecuting state's attorney of New Haven multiple times. Like, how many times? I can't count that high. I mean, I don't know, and the records are not available. I have records on 55 arrests. If you read them, you will see what is going on. Richard was friends with the cops from his high school class. He was their muscle, okay? He was their muscle, okay? He was their muscle. Who's my muscle? I don't have muscle, okay? But we're going to take Richard Colangelo to court. I expect that you guys are going to follow this and assume that many of you will do something about it at some point. Or you're going to live in a state that has no law, has people approved to commit crime without following federal law, undocumented, unsupervised criminals in the back pocket of local police. State police are in on it. And the FBI has never called me back. And I've been notifying these guys for years. So, let's pave the way to turn the state red, get rid of these Democrats who are running the state with no concern for your civil right to the Fourth Amendment, no concern for your Second Amendment right, no concern for your Sixth Amendment right, no concern for your Eighth Amendment right. What about the 13th Amendment? What about the 14th Amendment? Do you know what they are? How about the 4th Amendment? Do you know what it is? Okay. Illegal search and seizure. Yeah. False arrest. Who was arrested falsely? Stephen Barrier. How do we know? He was unconscious. How do you arrest a guy in a coma? Oh, hello. What crime did he commit? They won't tell us. Did he commit a crime? I don't think so. I don't know what he did. He was at work. He came home. They were waiting for him. His sister is the one with schizophrenia, not him. He is just suffering from depression. Accusing someone falsely of a crime is false arrest. Staging him running away is how we're going to get them, because they arrested him for resisting arrest. You're allowed in the Constitution to resist false arrest. Guess how many people are claiming that I know that they were falsely arrested? It's a staggering number of people, okay? How many times? I know one guy who was falsely arrested, I believe 6 times. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. At least 5 times. 5 times I think I looked up. But here we go. I'm at 31 minutes. I apologize. I am explaining the Janet Reno guidelines for confidential informants. I'm explaining how a hitman was released from jail to do hits by the prosecuting attorney. Who's that? The chief state's attorney right now is Richard Colangelo. We need to fix the chief state's attorney office. And guess who's in charge? Tong. Tong is in charge as attorney general. Guess what? Tong I've discussed issues with. He says, Mr. Flynn, let's just agree to disagree. Tong sued Trump for the border. What has that got to do with the state of Connecticut? Tong sued Purdue Pharma after the DNC took $116 million in campaign contributions. Tong got paid and elected by the DNC, and Tong has a conflict of interest because the way he's handling this case, you should be concerned about. I might know more than you. Why don't you tell me why Tong should be concerned? Excuse me. We can talk all day long about lobby groups. We can talk all day long about Diallo. Okay? We can talk all day long about corruption. And I'm happy to do that. But I want you to vote for me in 2.5 years. And if you don't, I can't help you. I'm moving to Montana or Alaska. I love Alaska. So there you go, my friends. I'm at 33 minutes. This is absolutely insane, and I doubt anyone's going to follow this to the end. But I hope that you do. I really hope that you do. Because if you don't watch this video, you could be the next victim of an approved crime by Richard Colangelo. I don't think you want that, because Republicans are getting robbed and Democrats are taking it all to the bank. And I can stand by that, because I'm not allowed to get my own banking records. Richard Colangelo is a kingpin, maybe? Okay, thank you very much. There's separate laws for that. Yeah, he's committed way more atrocities than I don't even know. Okay, if every single confidential informant is committing crimes that are not recorded with the JLEA, and that's the state's policy. Is that the state's policy in California? Is that the state's policy in Delaware and Washington? Is that the state's policy in all these democratic cities? hitmen, controlled and supposedly supervised by the state. So here you go. Think about this. Abortion, late-term abortion, and now they need 5-day-olds. The Democrats are behind this because they think that even a baby that's born that survives an abortion should not be resuscitated. I'm saying they're approving murder. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And they look the other way, looking the other way. So not only do they support abortion, late-term abortion, and harvesting of baby parts on the 5th day after birth, or not resuscitating a baby, they're into approving crimes much more serious that they're supposed to follow federal law on. And the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, says, do not follow federal law. Hello, that is your constitutional right in the Constitution state. Thank you. Sorry, it's a long one.